Welcome to the Graces of Catholic Education podcast. I'm your host, Maria Pardini, and today I'm honored to introduce my guest, Andrew McCloskey, president of the Ambassadors Fund for Catholic Education, a transformative force in our region for nearly 6 decades. Founded in 1967 by Andrew's great-grandfather, Matthew H. McCloskey Jr., a renowned building contractor and U.S. ambassador to Ireland, the fund began with a $500,000 gift to strengthen secondary education rooted in our Catholic faith. Since then, it's awarded over $63 million to support schools, parishes, and innovative programs across the Archdiocese. Renamed in 2020 to reflect its broader vision, the fund now champions bold ideas, including support for special needs students and groundbreaking initiatives like my very own Project Graces and our new teacher formation program called Beacon Academy. I've had the privilege of working with Andrew on these projects funded by the Ambassadors Fund, and I can tell you, he's a visionary leader who carries forward a family legacy of faith and generosity. As a St. Joe's Prep and Notre Dame graduate, a dedicated father, and a faith-filled Catholic, Andrew embodies the same priorities his great-grandfather set: family, faith, and friends, while guiding the fund toward a future of innovation and inclusion. Andrew, I'm so grateful you're here to share the story of the Ambassadors Fund, your family's legacy, and your vision for Catholic education. Let's dive in. Hi, Philly faithful. My name is Maria Pardini, and welcome to the Graces of Catholic Education podcast, a place where grace shapes Catholic education, one future saint at a time. The mission of this podcast is to build a faith-filled place for Philly's Catholic educators to share their faith, hear innovative practices for today's challenging classrooms, and be inspired by others who are tackling this wild and blessed ride of Catholic education. Join us as we explore the grace that guides us in forming the hearts and minds of Philly's future saints. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
This is a great office. It's a great space. I love my logo. This is the first time this has ever happened on the podcast. So thank you very much for the setup.
You're quite welcome.
I love it. All right. So before we start, we'll start with a prayer, and then we'll get into how we start everything in Philly, if
Wonderful.
That's okay with you. All right. Thanks, Andrew. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the gift of the McCloskey Foundation, the Ambassadors Fund, started by the McCloskey family. I am so blessed to be able to be here with Andrew today. Please bless this conversation. Have the Holy Spirit send him down upon us to guide our thoughts and our feelings about all the wonderful things that Andrew is going to share about his family and his legacy in regards to Catholic education. We're so grateful for the opportunity. And we ask this as we do everything in your name, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Well, thanks again for coming.
Thank you. I'm honored.
All right. Well, it's my pleasure. So we're going to start where we start. Everything in all conversations in Philly, we start, where did you go to grade school? Where did you go to high school? Where you're from? Everything like that. So tell me how it all started.
Okay. So Catholic education for me started at Rosemont School of the Holy Child.
Okay.
It was called Holy Child back then. Up until 5th grade, and then journeyed over down Montgomery Avenue down to Waldron Academy for boys. Spent 6th, 7th, 8th grade there, and then kept on going east to St. Joe's Prep, proud Prep alum.
Yeah.
And then headed,
the Magus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it headed out west, out to University of Notre Dame. So
boy.
The funny thing about my education is it turns out I followed my father's footsteps. And that's kind of, he was certainly an incredible role model for me, but I was the only one that ended up of my family going to Waldron. He graduated from Waldron.
And he went to Waldron too?
He was a proud St. Joe's Prep alum and also a Notre Dame alum. And as it turns out, later in life, I joined him as a partner and coworker. So yeah, really a wonderful role model for me. But my educational journey really just followed my father's. And worked for him. It, hopefully works for me.
Yeah, exactly. I talk a lot about in this whole podcast. I talk a lot about it in my trailer about legacy and how important and how prevalent it is in this area, especially when it comes to Catholic education. There's so many people out there who literally did what you did, who went to the same schools as their parents and even their grandparents. And I think that that's part of what makes Philly Catholic education so special, because it's so ingrained into our very being.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably didn't have a choice of high schools. I mean, that was kind of embedded in the McCloskey family.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the prep. I did have choices of colleges, but I'm glad, Notre Dame was a great fit for me. So, it was wonderful to kind of follow the legacy of my father and,
it's so cool. I love it. All right. So let's start with the Ambassadors Fund. You are the president. What is your title now of the Ambassadors Fund?
I'm the current president of the Ambassadors Fund.
So there you go. So let's take us back. Tell us the whole story for people that don't understand or don't know or aren't aware, like where, your great grandfather started this and how it all came to be and what inspired him to do this.
Yeah. So maybe I can tell you a little bit about him. So
absolutely.
Matt McCloskey Jr. was my great grandfather. And, he was the grandson of Irish immigrants, and they came to Ohio and then to Philadelphia, and they settled in the area. And he was one of 8 kids. He got his Catholic education in Philadelphia. Turns out I learned this is really fascinating. He never actually graduated from 8th grade.
Really?
So you think of all the years of the impact that he had on Catholic education, but he really was only educated for 7 years formally.
Oh my gosh!
At Catholic, and he dropped out. He joined the trades. He was
because they had to work, right?
He had to work. Yeah. Construction. He kind of was. He got into construction, and obviously he learned how to do that. And I think he wasn't allowed to own his own business until he was 18. So he was an apprentice type, but he was a mover and shaker, and really over the years developed into a preeminent, builder, contractor, and much, much more. I mean, he has so many different fascinating paths of it. I mean, he became, just from a building standpoint, buildings that, people in this area would know, the Vet and the Spectrum and the post office and down near Rittenhouse Square. And there's just, I keep on bumping into places. Oh, your great grandfather built that. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
But
that must be so cool though. Yeah. So cool to have that happen to you.
Very cool. And he did a lot of things down in DC and during the war, World War II, he got involved with building an airfield, and he got involved with building some container shipping, concrete ships. I mean, he kind of did it all. And then he did have a passion for, in addition to his faith, he had a passion for politics. And he was big in the Democratic Party. He was a trusted fundraiser.
I feel like I saw a picture of him on a website with John F. Kennedy.
Well, that's where there's a story there, because he was later in his life, he was asked to be ambassador to Ireland.
And so it was Kennedy, President Kennedy who asked him?
Kennedy.
Okay.
Well, so he was the Democratic treasurer. And we have these notes from President Truman and President Kennedy about how he, was instrumental in raising money. He's considered the father of the 100-plate dinner, which I guess is now a $10,000.
Oh, right.
Well, it's a Bitcoin.
We've evolved a little bit, right? Yeah, we've upped the ante.
Yes, but he was. So actually, the story goes with regards to ambassadorship. Kennedy had offered and said, would you want to work? He's he really didn't really enjoy, didn't want to be political, but
Right.
as he kind of reflected, he's like, man, ambassador to Ireland would be, and apparently like Kennedy, I think even asked him before he even knew, but he said, if you can tidy up like the Democratic finances, and next thing you know, like a year later, he was appointed ambassador to Ireland. And the amazing thing was he got to host JFK. JFK promised he would come see him. And so he was the U.S. ambassador to Ireland when JFK made his, this is the favorite song, Coming Home.
Yes,
and, And Matt McCloskey was there to greet him and hosted him in the embassy. And the two of them, like, they were thick, like not thick as thieves, but they were just tight. Like, they were very, and they had a lot of respect.
Well, they had similar stories too, that like they came from the same, I mean, it just kind of seems to fit that Kennedy and him would
they really
be friends.
They hit it off. So, and so that's how, so that's how he became ambassador to Ireland, and probably like the crowning, achievement of his career. But I'd say like this legacy that he's left with Ambassadors Fund is as great, if not more, of an impact that it can, because it continues to have impact to this day. So we'll get into that, I guess.
So how do you think he got like his love of Catholic education? Like, where did that, or was it more philanthropy and he evolved in Catholic education? Like, how did that happen?
I have this wonderful book that was written. It was an autobiography of my great grandfather. So I do get to hear a lot of the stories, and a lot of Latin's written in there. But his faith was so important to him and embedded like from his parents, really. As you know, like, parents are so critical in the faith formation of their children. And he had wonderful Catholic parents, and he just had a love of his faith. And, he put it, right there. And when he said, I owe everything I have to my faith. And so, the funny thing is that the idea for the ambassadors, from which was really there was actually a foundation he actually started before that. So
this is like breaking news. That's not anywhere on the website. I never saw that.
We're going to I'm trying to keep it in chronology here, but back in like 1949, he started what was called the Martin de Porres Foundation. It's still serving the Catholic Church here in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia to this day. And, he was, how do I say, a little bit always ahead of his time. And I think he saw, he had offices down like in North Philadelphia, not far from St. Joe's Prep. And he saw like the poverty there. And he just felt like that there was real opportunity for African-American, Black Catholics to get educated and to help. Like his vision for that foundation was really to provide, scholarships and opportunities for African-American Black Catholics to go to college. And it was specifically devoted to that at the time. And the idea was that if that's how you're going to break the poverty, the cycle of poverty, and also just like informing future leaders, future Catholic leaders, go back in their communities, also just raise everybody up. And he was a very egalitarian. He really didn't have any airs about him with regards to, race, creed. He just treated, like, there's stories in that book about how, one of his coworkers came in and said, said something bad about a Jewish contractor, and he just reprimanded them like, don't you dare do that. But he was a man of like very high moral compass, and he felt that everyone should have the opportunity of an education, regardless, especially a Catholic education. So the Martin de Porres Foundation, that predated the Archdiocese Education Fund at the time. So just to kind of, you're going to hear two things, like the Archdiocese Education was its former name, and then we'll fast forward to like the 2000s when we had to name change the Ambassadors Fund. But the Archdiocese Education Fund was really set up kind of uniquely to be a first of its kind endowment for like an archdiocesan school system. And that was the first of its kind in the United States, from what I understand. And obviously we're still in existence today,
Yeah.
trying to make a difference. And
Well, you are definitely making a difference. I mean, that is something. What a tribute, though, to him and his vision. Do you think he had any idea? Like, do you think, did your grandfather ever say anything, or your dad ever say anything about like that? Oh, he knew that this was going to be big, or he didn't, or
you know, I learned stories about I was very young when he passed away.
Right.
I was probably like, I think I was like maybe 3 years old.
Right.
So I don't have any real memories of
right.
but I do have all the stories that I heard over the years. So the stories were more about him as ambassador and him with Kennedy and things like that.
Right.
I really didn't like. My parents kind of kept us insulated from like knowing like the extent of
yes, I can see that.
And frankly, he was very modest with his philanthropy. And frankly, when you think about it, he set up the Archdiocese Education Fund. Didn't have his name on it. He was the pretty much like the main donor, and I read in the book like they had to look hard and wide to find like anything that had his name on it. So he was very humble, and like he just felt that charity, should best charity is anonymous. That was his real philosophy. So I guess that's part of like what was instilled like to my grandfather and to my father, is that a lot of that charity like I didn't really know about. And I've come to learn about it and appreciate it over time.
It strikes me as that like the Bible verse. I'm not a good Bible verse quoter because I never know what chapter and where it comes from, but the phrase good and faithful servant, it sounds like that's, to me, that kind of describes what your great grandfather was. He just put his nose to the grindstone and did what was needed. He saw a need and he fulfilled it, and he just did his job.
When he saw something, especially if it was building related, I mean, the story, like he gets to the embassy and like out of his own pocket, he's like, oh, the plumbing's outdated. Like, and he writes a check and he gets the contract. He's overseeing all the contractors at the embassy. Like, and, there's the church at his ancestral home in Dungiven, Ireland, like was complete disrepair. And he was like, he just
fixed it.
He'd drive up there, and be talking to the pastor. He's like, just send me what and he'd be sending contractors up there to get the work done. But like, he was a guy that just got things done. And they always said like his Matthew H. McCloskey, the H was for like hurry. So he'd be sitting here like, okay, once it's over. Like,
right. Exactly. But, I love that.
Yeah.
So if you had to talk about what you think in the past has been one of the most impactful grants that even what your great grandfather started and your grandfather, what do you think the most impactful grant has been over the course of the longevity of the fund?
Good question. I would probably say, like, at least let's just say back in the 80s, 90s, I'd say there was a blocks grant.
Okay.
I think it was in the early 80s, and it was about $800,000. I believe that really helped get blocks up and running. And I think that the beauty of that was that like this was not your foundation, my foundation. This was like a foundation to support, Catholic. It was business leaders of all types that could come. And as we fast forward to today, we know that EITC and Blocks is a major operator in helping bring EITC dollars. They bridge the gap between the state, the business owners, and the schools. They're right in the middle.
Right.
And they're helping, bring, I think it's close to over $100,000.
Oh, yes.
And can you imagine how large a foundation would have to be to actually endow that much support? I mean, statewide, it's like over $600 million. So, the fact that we live in a state that has that incredible, opportunity for that type of public support that can get into the hands of students and families that want to have a choice and choose Catholic education, that's incredibly powerful.
It really is. I mean, without that money, we would not be able to do. I don't know how we would function without that money. I mean, I don't know how that would happen.
Yeah, roll back to like when we were kids, like we were starting to see the dwindling of vocations, right? But the schools, more and more laity, right, which was changing the operating expenses of those schools. And then the parishes were the ones that were always funding those schools, and we had less people in the pews. And so along came these public dollars to really help, stabilize enrollment. And, unfortunately, some schools didn't make it, but I got to say that, dozens and dozens more were saved because of EITC. So it's incredible, incredible program. And for people that aren't taking advantage of it, I got to make a plug. If you pay Pennsylvania taxes, like you are eligible to offset those taxes with a donation to a Catholic school of your choice.
And we will link the Block's website right into the show notes of this podcast, so that if anybody out there is interested as to how they can divert their Pennsylvania tax dollars toward the EITC, they're going to be able to do that very easily by clicking on the website. So I mean, it's saving Catholic education, and it's allowing you as the ambassadors fund to be able to then
pivot.
Right.
Like we're able to pivot because, Blocks has got a great operation, and also the Foundation for Catholic Education also helps in that space. So let them do that, and they do it really well. And then that allows us to pivot to other areas of need. And that's where I think we'll talk about our grants down the road, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's the exciting part of it. I mean, it's like Blocks takes care of the nitty gritty as to keeping us afloat, but then you get to do the fun stuff almost. Like you get to do all that kind of fun stuff. So let's go back and talk about this legacy. Like I said, I just believe that legacy is such a powerful gift, or I don't know, it's legacy in the Philadelphia area is just so prevalent. And there's nothing that describes legacy more than the McCloskey family in terms of how it was your great grandfather, your grandfather, your father, you know what I mean? Like it's just all in there. So how did your grandfather and then your father kind of carry that Matthew McCloskey Jr.'s vision? And what was it like to grow up in a family that had such a legacy?
Well, I have to say they probably did it in their own way, right?
Okay.
I mean, my grandfather was someone on the shyer side. He was not as flamboyant or as boisterous as my great grandfather. And he developed like really a one-on-one relationship, certainly with each of the archbishops or cardinals at the time. And he kind of carried on part of my great grandfather's kind of legacy in that, like, they never want it to be known, like that this was money from the McCloskey family, or so everything was kind of like, I really didn't have any idea of like what the Archdiocese Education Fund was all about when I was younger, because it was never associated. Like it was just this, I wouldn't. So when I look back, there were clues that I mean, we were like the family that would like go to the Eagles game. Like we'd pick up my grandparents, and they're like, we got to stop and pick somebody else up. I'm like, it's like, oh yeah, it's we got to go to the Cardinals residence, and so we'd like be picking Cardinal Kroll up to go to.
And so I'm like hop in the family station wagon in the back.
I'm like going to the Eagles games, like
go Birds.
So that was like, and then I guess and my father, and my grandfather, they both had different ways to do it. Like and they both set the example for the next for their children, right? So my grandfather also, he started the Sarah Club of Philadelphia. I don't know how much you know about Sarah, but Sarah is a Catholic organization that promotes vocations to religious life, and it was a cause that was very important in my family, especially my grandfather and my father. And my grandfather he started a chapter in Philadelphia. He later became international president. And my father was the Philadelphia chapter president. He became international president. And so like that type of like the Catholic, that stuff was like embedded in us. Like, we were, like our family vacations were like going to these conventions and like these Sarah conventions. And so I think that they both set like an example of, service to the church. And so like I knew about the Sarah stuff, but the Archdiocese Education Fund didn't really know much about until I got a little older. So that was.
So how did that happen then? How did you, because you became president of the fund in 2020, is that correct?
Somewhere.
Is that right?
22,
yeah, 22, 20, right. So, but you, obviously before then you've had, how did it start? Like, how did it start for you?
Like the way it works is that it's a kind of a nice little partnership between like the members of the McCloskey family and the Archdiocese. So, I mean, we're what's called a supporting organization. So we support the efforts of the Catholic Church, specifically around Catholic education. So various members of my family have served in different capacities. Brothers, sisters, like they've served on different capacities. I was asked to join the board. I don't know. I think it was probably in the mid like 2007, 2008. Sometime around then. And I was also working with my father at the time, so I kind of like at that point I really started to understand what his role was, and he was, somewhat new to, as president, and I kind of, but in those days we weren't even a grant making organization. We were still doing more operational support. So I'd have to give credit to family members, brothers, and we started to ask like more questions in a good way, like because we were seeing that schools were closing, and there was church was in crisis, and we weren't actually getting a lot of information about how the money was being used. So it's just pretty basic, like we're writing these nice checks, but like okay. What's happening? If schools are closing, like, are we really making a difference? And I think fast forward to when Archbishop Chaput was the new Archbishop, I think he wanted to take a different direction, and he felt that really this was more. He treated us like it was more like a family foundation, even though technically it's a supporting organization. And he said, you're right. You deserve to have more transparency and know what's going on. And he did not think it was a great idea to have like this ongoing operations support. He felt like we did need to change things up, and that the Ambassadors Fund, or at the time Archdiocese Education Fund, could be really a source for innovation. And I think our family agreed. Like we said, like what. Staying the same is not really
right. It was like the perfect storm at the perfect time when things kind of, you were like, we saw a need and we wanted to change things, and he agreed. And
so we kind of said, okay, well, we don't want to pull the rug out from under you, but let's start like peeling off, a certain amount of support each year, and just turn it around. And so like, it's now grants. We're still going to support you in the same dollar amount, but now it's going to be with grants,
right?
And so that really and then eventually it became all like grant support. So that's kind of how we've evolved.
Right.
And then I guess maybe I'll take that to the next level, because eventually like it went full circle. Like it's like, well, we really have to really look at this name, because like we're supporting Catholic education, but I felt Archbishop Shu really wanted to, us to take more ownership of it, and we wanted to, like, it was like we were happy. My father was happy, but again, it was like, let's not put our name on it. So kind of came up with this idea, like maybe we could just a tip of the hat to my great grandfather, and we'll call it the Ambassadors Fund for Catholic Education. So that kind of solved a lot of
and that was even before AI. So you didn't even run that through AI. Somebody actually came up with that.
That was my suggestion.
Was it really?
No, that was. No,
oh my gosh, I love that. I did not know that.
It was really, that was a testament to him, and it was because of his generosity. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it, but he gave good portion of his estate to fund this as his legacy. So, I think it's okay to call it ambassadors.
Oh, I think it's perfect. And it's so respectful of him, I think, also because he was so, from what you've said, what I've learned about him, he didn't love his name attached to things. But this is his name, but it's not really his name. Yeah. I mean, it's like Cardinal Kroll. Cardinal Kroll was very similar to that from what I've heard. He never wanted his name on anything when he was alive. Like he didn't want.
Sure.
And I remember there's a building at Don Guanella that is actually called, before Don Guanella realigned itself and changed and stuff, it was the CK Center, because they named it after Cardinal Kroll, and he would not let anything be named that. So Cardinal Kroll was the CK Center. But so it's very similar. I like that. So talk to me a little bit about how, like, it seemed like your great grandfather passed on this legacy of family, faith, football, and friends. Or where did the football come from?
Well, football's a lot my father.
Okay.
But yeah. There was a story out there that my great had an opportunity to buy the Eagles, or so like that was maybe one that got away.
Yeah.
My father would have loved that. But sports, especially if you knew my father. My father was like the biggest Phillies sports fan you could ever. He was at one point, season ticket holder of the Phillies, the Sixers, the Eagles, the Flyers.
Did he go a lot? Oh, yeah, he went a lot.
And that was part of, like, talk about somebody that like married like his loves. Like he loved his church. He embraced his role. And like he would be like, the great thing is, like, between the seminary and the Archdiocese offices, like it's kind of on the way to the sports stadiums. So he'd be like picking somebody up. And I mean, there's so many times in my life that we picked up, a seminarian or a priest, or a senior or a bishop, or, like on the way to a game. And, my dad,
that's just so cool to grow up with that. Like, I mean, that's like not how I grew up, picking up, religious people and taking them. And I just think that that's so cool, because where I work now, I have this totally different relationship with a lot of religious people that I've never really had before. And I love that. I think it's like one of the best parts of my job, just to see them and to get them to experience things like the Phillies, and they just all nuns love baseball. Like they're the biggest Philly fans in the world, or a bunch of nuns. I love it.
So my dad. So that actually, I'll tell you a quick story. I remember my father was getting knighted. I think it was like night of I think it was the night of St. Gregory. I don't know what it's all about.
Okay,
but like, of course, whole family's invited. We're down to the basilica, but of course it's like I want to say I think it was on a Saturday, but it was a playoff Saturday.
Oh boy.
And my dad, season ticket holder, Eagles, and it was like I want to
poor planning on the Knights' part.
I feel like it was an NFC conference final, and
boy,
my dad, I think, had his like Eagles jersey like underneath his suit, and like it was like he didn't. And first of all, he didn't love the recognition.
Yeah.
So like But he was like, as soon as that ceremony was over,
he's like, wrap it up.
And like, we're all sitting, like my brothers and I are all sitting, like we're going to the game. We're like, okay, like how soon? Like we're like, yeah. So it became the big controversy was like, who's going to leave? At what time?
Land the plane. You're like, who's ever given the homily? Land that plane. Land the plane.
Siblings might have left early, but
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny. One of my sons has a phrase about priest homilies going on too long, and he calls it "put the fries in the bag."
Oh,
put the fries in the bag, land the plane, and let's.
Oh, my dad, he would do this to his friend priests. Like he'd be sitting up front, and like he would catch their attention, and he'd like be looking at his watch, and like, okay, Matt, like he wanted to let them know he was on the.
Put the fries in the bag.
Yeah. So the age for hurry was like that. Definitely like went on to my father.
Did it come to you too?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I like to say I have a lot of patience. I need a lot of patience in my life. I have so much going on. Like, so yeah, there are times where I can get a little hurry, but like I try to have a lot of patience. patient.
Yeah, I think you're a pretty patient guy. So how do you see like the next generation? Like, what do you see with the next generation of your family? Are you bringing them in? Are you encouraging that? Like, how does that get passed down from in your family?
Yeah. So it's, I mean, there's a lot of next generation family members. I mean, I have tons of nieces and nephews, and some of them are not in the area, so it's a little harder to get them engaged. But one of my nephews is already on the board. Another nephew is like ready to come on the board, and there's a few that are still in college that they'll learn more about it as time goes on. But I'm always frankly, like, we need to get them involved, because when we talk about like initiatives, and we're always talking about like young adults and like how to get, so it's going to be really important that we get them involved going forward.
Yeah, I love that. So you talked about how the fund has kind of shifted into this like a grant making organization. And, a lot of the programs that you're funding are like these innovative programs. I have been blessed that I have received two of the funds, one for Project Graces, and then also for Beacon Academy. But so, like, what kind of spurs the like? What do you say when you look at something and you're like, this is it? Like, what is that thing that you look at and you think this could do something?
Good question. Sometimes you like, well, there's a part of it where you can just feel it and touch it and feel it. And you can say like, I get it. But, if I was to really like kind of define it, it's really like what the return on investment is. Like, from the standpoint, like, what kind of impact are we going to have? Like, because in the end, we do have a certain amount of dollars to give out, and then, how do you define impact too, right? So that becomes, there's so many needs across all of our Catholic schools, like so many, and just from a physical plant standpoint, and like the need for upgrading facilities, but also like closing the gap and providing more financial assistance. Like, those are things that very hard for us to do, but in a consistent, meaningful way. Like, so I love the projects that where it can have like for an investment to have like an impact that, number one, can be felt maybe across the diocese. Like, maybe it starts somewhere. So yours was a great example. Like maybe, let's go, maybe I throw it back to you, because like, I think that, the Beacon Academy and the UDL and MTSS, you can talk about those, like, they're great the pilot program there that you're starting, basically trying to solve a real challenge at Catholic schools. Like speaking of the MTSS, and UDL, how do we? Catholic schools have never really been, historically known to really do well with like differentiated learners. Right? And like, when you came to us with that grant, it hit home, because I have a learner like that in my house, and he would have benefited immensely from a classroom that was designed to support kids like him. And there's many others out there, and I think it's, parents are understanding maybe earlier in life that their kids are a little different learners, but you're the expert. So I mean, but the teachers, your program is an innovative way, but not necessarily completely out of the blue. Like, it's researched, like, and you're bringing professionals to coach up these teachers, and then really the amazing part of that was how we could get it to spread, within the schools and then to other schools. So maybe you can kind of throw it back to you.
Yeah. I mean, it really came out of the need that I saw when I first started in the Archdiocese, in terms of like, I kept going out to schools and teachers were saying, we have these students in our school, they belong in our school, but we don't know how to meet their needs. They're different needs than they were 5, 10, 15 years ago. And so I believe that the answer to that really lies in universally designed structures and universally designed classrooms and universally designed schools, where all students can learn. You take the barriers that we know are out there and we eliminate as many barriers as we can.
Yeah.
And we have to support the teachers. And, and that's the easy thing to say. The hard thing is to say, well, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And I think that the pilot program is such a great aspect of that, because we can start small. We can see the impact. We can work with that small group of 24 teachers now that can say, well, this worked. This class was too much, or this wasn't enough. Or I loved that we met for 2 days in June. The 2 days that we are meeting in August is too late. It needs to be earlier. We can sort out all those details. And we are getting tremendous coaching from the people, from the organizations. And these teachers are like rip roaring ready to go. Yeah. They're like excited to start the school year. And they know that their classrooms are not only going to look different physically, because a universally designed classroom does look different physically, but that their lessons and the content is going to be delivered in a way that can just meet the needs of all the kids in their classrooms, because they want them there. Our Catholic school teachers understand that these children belong in Catholic education. They deserve a Catholic education, but they were just feeling inadequate on how to meet their needs. And this definitely is helping to bridge that gap. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't thank you enough for seeing that.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention, because, like when I think about like those, like just knowing that there's a foundation out there that's willing and able to support like somebody's vision, like your own, I think is so meaningful, because otherwise you're stuck in like trying to like, okay, but just to dream a little bit.
Yeah.
The best grants are when somebody, like you get somebody that really has a passion and they are very strategic thinkers and they have a little bit of a vision and a dream, and then match that with some resources.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, we can change the world. Like we literally can change the world, and because we are changing Catholic education.
So yeah, your grant. I mean, and like the vision for that is really to filter to all the other elementary schools, and then like our charter here is in Philadelphia, but like let's spread the good news. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would love for us to really be that, like known as like that innovative, school system across the country.
Absolutely.
And that's not easy to pull off.
No. And it's funny because I was in the Notre Dame program, a graduate level program called the Program for Inclusive Education, which runs under the umbrella of the ACE at Notre Dame. So it was like a 14-month program, and the last 3 credits were 12 days at Notre Dame. So this Penn Stater last summer had to spend 12 days at Notre Dame. And I mean, anybody that has listened or will be listening to this podcast, I can't say enough about Notre Dame and the impact that it had on me in terms of my faith formation. Like it really was life-changing, the 12 days that I spent at the campus. I don't think I'll ever root for a Notre Dame sports team, but I definitely will light a candle at the grotto again. So, I mean, it was impactful. And one of the things it was a national program. So there's people from all over the country. So I met somebody from Colorado who we became friends with, and she brought her team to Philadelphia as a travel. And I took them to Archbishop Carroll because Archbishop Carroll has one of the students from the Rising Together Alliance.
Well, that was one of our, that was
one of our grants. So we are like people are coming to us now, starting to come to us and be like, well, how did you solve this problem that all of Catholic education is facing? I mean, the problems aren't just in Philadelphia.
Oh, no.
They're everywhere. And we are becoming the place that people can come to help get their problems get solved elsewhere. So
that Archbishop Carroll program was amazing. I mean, that was actually a partnership with the Kami Foundation to get that started. And I don't know if you want to give some background. I can give a little background, but special needs students, more on the Down syndrome spectrum.
Yep.
And how do we allow for them to have opportunity at a Catholic education, and they came to us with a very innovative grant. Um, it was more like a peer mentoring model, where students would be mentors to a special needs student, and kind of lead them through the day, and would be role models and homework helpers, and there was a lot of coaching involved with regards to the teachers and how they But when I went to visit Archbishop Carroll, and I saw how that program had changed, it was more that student, and now it's two students, how that changed the culture of the school, and how accepting, and it was just a wonderful sight to be seen. So that student and the subsequent student brought so much joy of learning, and like the culture of inclusivity was completely flipped on its head. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
And what I loved hearing about that was that so many of those peer mentors are now going on to study education, specifically special education.
Yeah.
So what an impact that had.
Oh yeah. I mean, inclusion always impacts. It impacts everybody, but I do really believe that it impacts the non-disabled people just as much as it enables and helps the person with the learning challenges. It is life-changing to see what is going on at Carroll and what's going on at 10 of our other elementary schools. So we have, students in many different elementary schools, and the work that the Rising Together Alliance has done, funded by much support over the Archdiocese, is just, it's incredible to see. It's awesome. And it's national now because we have people from Denver come and see what they were doing.
Part of our support, and I remember I talked about how operational support, that was somewhat phased out. But one place where we haven't phased out is in our support for special ed. So we actually still do support the operational team for special ed, and that's very true to our core. And that goes back years and years and years. I mean, my father's brother was very special needs, mentally challenged in a way that he would never be able to be supported, at least back then. And I don't know how they would, frankly, in a way that would be really challenging even today.
Yeah.
But how he affected, his name was Dudley, and he had a tremendous effect on, my brothers and sisters, as we kind of learned acceptance for people of special needs. And he was just such an integral part of our lives that we just and he grew up in this faith-filled environment, and his talking about passing on the faith. I mean, he would go to, he knew all his prayers as best he could, and my grandfather and my grandparents were amazing, with him and his own faith development, which was, very at a different level, but it was so special. A special part of our lives.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, because you definitely have a passion. You can see it for traditionally underserved populations in terms of what you're talking about, and what you're doing, and where you want the dollars, the precious dollars out there to kind of go, and giving as many people as we possibly can, as many students as we possibly can. The beauty of a Catholic education is just, it's life-changing.
Yeah,
it really is. I love it. So what would you have, how would you encourage somebody who's just not just a teacher, but a teacher out there who's just listening to this for the first time? And how would you encourage them to apply, or to write, or to think, to spur that new thinking and the new action? What would you say to someone who has this idea?
Well, very good question. Well, first, I think part of it is please reach out, and we're not, we don't have to be this behind the scene. Pick up the phone, give us a call, and like engage with us, because Megan Familar is our grants administrator. She's a great first contact, as I am I. But we want to know what you're thinking about, and maybe plan a site visit. It is challenging sometimes because now it's getting to be like competitive. Right? I mean, more and more people know about us, and it's good though.
Well, after this podcast, the whole Archdiocese, you're going to have too much paper.
Well, yeah. So I'll set.
It's a good problem to have, though, right?
It is. I mean, a couple kind of grounding places to start. Like we really do want to encourage sustainability of the programs. So, pilots are great, but like we need to know that like they're going to be fun, like how they're going to get funded going, down the road. So all these grants that we look at have some sort of hopefully path to sustainability. Okay. So, and that's always sometimes tough to define, but it could be that, you just need to kind of test out a program, but then if it works, we know where the funding's coming from. Right. Because we don't want to go backwards into like having like, this school wants to hire this person. And next thing you know, we're supporting all these different salaries, and then there's no money for innovation. So like we like to, on our end, have like a new kitty every year to potentially match with like some great programs. But probably the most important thing is like that sustainability piece. That's important. But then it also has to tie to like, what's going to make an impact. And like, as we like to say, there's a couple pillars that are really important to us. I mean, where I feel like some of the grants that have had the most impact, like, leadership development, whether that's like for your administrators, for your teachers, like that's money well spent. Like we found that the most successful schools are ones that have great leadership. Yes. So let's invest in leadership, and not just in hiring, but continuing to develop like our existing leaders, but also bringing in leaders behind them. Yes. So, very important pillar. Yeah. And then we talked about like academic rigor and support, like those, like we are schools, right? And we're educating, and that is absolutely important. Like we want to be offering a world-class education that's accessible, right? And a lot of the programs that we're doing right now are along those the support programs. But let's not also forget like why we exist, right? Like faith formation is a big pillar. And frankly, if there's anything, like we don't get as many great grants along the lines of faith formation. So like that's something for the listeners out there.
There you go. There you
think
go.
About. But and some of those grants, don't always have to be big dollars, but like we exist because we're Catholic schools. Right? Like we are trying to spread the good news, spread the faith, and we can't remember why we exist, right? So, when I go to visit a school, I want to feel it. Like I want to feel like the culture, and the retreat programs, and like there's so many great opportunities out there, forming. Even our students, like leadership development programs, like in faith formation. Like I could come out with a couple ideas, but but really we'd love to hear, listeners' ideas about how to, one place that I'm looking at, I'm concerned about vocations, just like my father.
The Sarah Club, yeah.
And saying where's our church without our clergy?
Yeah.
Right? And our, so how are we developing vocations, and without as many priests and religious at the schools, like who's tilling the soil? And so, just recently I got together a lot of vocation directors across the diocese, and for very different orders, and said like, come to us with like some ideas, like, and we would love to help you.
Right.
And so that's in development.
Yeah. That's a hard one. I think that's a hard one because we grew up and our parents grew up with seeing vocations all the time. And our children are not seeing religious vocations all the time.
No.
So I think the answer has to come from helping and that's where one of the biggest things when I did the Beacon Academy with the new teacher formation, to me, one of the most important pillar of Beacon Academy is that we have to help our young teachers develop personal relationships with God and their faith. Because if they don't have that, they can't help their students develop personal relationships
100%.
with God. And if you don't have a personal relationship with God, you're not becoming a religious person. Like you're not going into a religious vocation without that.
Yeah. And they really need to be the role models.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and everyone's faith journey is different, right? But
absolutely.
So that Beacon Academy, we can throw a shout out to that. But that was one that got funded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
Like that really resonated with. Oh, whoops.
Our TV's going to turn off. That's all right. That's okay. It can turn off. No big deal. They've seen the logo. It's okay. That's all right.
And so we're excited. And that's obviously just up and running.
Yes, it is. It's just starting. I want to get this little plug in here though, because I know that it's different funding. It's not like like an innovative program, but it was it had such a powerful impact in the Archdiocese. I want you to talk about the Cabrini movie. And I want you to talk about how that kind of happened, how that came about, because I absolutely loved the Cabrini movie and everyone should see the Cabrini movie if they haven't already. So tell me about that.
Wow. Yeah, firstly, that's one of my favorite grants that we've done. So look, a little history about that. So you probably know the history of the producer of that movie. Is a family friend, Eustace Wilkington,
Mm-hmm.
Legendary business leader, Catholic philanthropist, family man. His family is incredible.
Yeah.
And he really put significant monies towards
mm-hmm.
This movie, which is really a incredible masterpiece film.
Oh, absolutely.
About his favorite saint, Mother Frances.
Yeah.
And I'd heard about it. I knew it was coming, and my father and I were invited to a screening. And
mm-hmm.
this is this is literally, my father was very, very ill at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was certainly we knew he didn't have much time left. So the opportunity to go see that movie with him was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked him up. We went down there together, and we're watching this, and we both had the same reaction. There is no question that as many kids in the Archdiocese could see this. We got to make this happen.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, we made room in our budget. And so it was really hard because we're just it was the two of us, and we had a grants administrator. How do we make this happen?
Mm-hmm.
He was not even in good health, but
right.
We had a great relationship with the production team, the Wolfington family. They helped kind of help us figure out the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly it started with buy-in from the Archdiocese, and they said we can make this happen. It was basically dedicating the day, but it was a true sermon. I mean, the movie was a masterpiece.
It was amazing.
So the logistics were let's get all the how many high schools is 15?
Yep, 15 high schools. Yep.
And I think it was 15,000 students because we included 7th and 8th graders.
Yep.
And they said, so we were going to pay for the busing,
mm-hmm.
and we were going to pay for the all the movie tickets, and and each school kind of had to work out when and where to see it.
I'm going to give a plug to Sister Margaret Rose yes. From the Office of Catholic Education because she really worked really, really closely and worked tirelessly on the logistics of how that was all going to come to fruition. She did an excellent job on that. So we can't have a podcast without mentioning Sister Margaret Rose.
One of my favorite moments in the last couple of years was going to see a screening with her, and she had her own screening with all of her IHM sisters and friends. And it was I was in a room with my mom, my wife and probably 200 sisters watching that movie.
That is great. That is something.
And the hoots and hollers were incredible.
Yeah.
That movie was, and what, the feedback we got from it was the absolute best, feedback we got, like what a difference that made. Because like you talked about all these examples, and you talked about like the teachers being an example. Well, like here is a Catholic saint that like has an incredible story, an incredible example, and it's a really good movie.
Oh, I mean, aside from the Catholicism part of it, anybody can go and watch that movie and get something out of it.
It's available on Netflix, all the streaming
We'll
services.
link it.
We'll link it. Streaming services.
Absolutely.
But, the nice thing about that was, well, first of all, I think like so many of the students like went there thinking like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah, right.
But like they came back like on fire.
On fire, yep.
And it was amazing. And that also became a model because the folks at Cabrini are also like, they are partnering with other archdioceses and other foundations to actually do the same thing. So the beat goes on.
What movie's next? I don't
know.
Ask Mr. Wolfington what's his next favorite thing?
I don't know. Yeah, we need another one.
We do. We need one a year.
Catherine
We do
Drexel.
once every 2. Yeah, there you go. Catherine Drexler, Blessed Carlo Acutis, who's going to be a saint. That would be a good one too. Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and also just like it, the widespread nature of that, like touching, and I kept on saying we have no idea the dividends that will pay down the road, but like that movie has touched people's lives in a way that we'll find out years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's your vision for the future of Catholic education?
My vision.
And in terms of being the president of the Ambassadors Fund, like you have to have a vision.
No,
what is it?
Yeah. So, well, a couple things. I mean, on one hand, I would love that, that we talked about that earlier. It's like the Archdiocese of Philadelphia and being known as innovative and at the helm of new initiatives in Catholic education. Really, like, I'm looking at like how do we create this second renaissance in Catholic education here in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia? But like the vision is like we can't do it alone. Absolutely, like, for us specifically, like if we could, like if some of the projects that we put in place can inspire other donors, like, I'd love like what I'd love is I'd love like 20 years from now that there are like half a dozen other foundations that have been set up that have been inspired by some of the projects that we've done. I mean, that's, not unheard of. John Conley was a wonderful, friend and business friend of my great grandfather, and the wonderful work that their foundation's done. Who's going to do that in this generation? And to have them leave their legacy for Catholic education, because we can pivot. Like there's room for plenty of seats at the table, but we both know that there's a lot more that can be done. So I think that, but the bigger vision is that like these schools, they all need to have endowments and they all need to be able to be sustainable. I would love to be able to rely on, Pennsylvania, like tax dollars, but like, we don't know what that looks like, in the future.
Right.
So we have to so as we think, from a financial standpoint, helping the schools really, become more sustainable. And that's really like, starting their development efforts, it's hopefully graduate from the bake sales, and we're on to, things like, estate planning, plan giving, annual campaigns, and bigger impact fundraising for the schools. I think that has to be a big part of it. But then we also need this, and I think this is part of the Archbishop's, plan for the Archdiocese with regards to the missionary hubs. We have to really change like the whole landscape with regards to getting people more connected to their faith. We've lost, I feel like we've lost a generation, or maybe more. And that's a huge challenge. So I'm excited about the Archbishop's missionary hubs and how we're connecting into them. But that has to happen. We really need to find ways to connect the younger generation back to their faith.
Yeah. And I really do believe that a big key to that is really the educators that we are putting in front of those students every day. Like the future of the Catholic Church lies in the students that are in our Catholic school system right now, and the ones who can't get to our Catholic school system for a variety of reasons. So I think that that's why it's so important that the works that you are doing are funding ways to bring other people into our Catholic school system that have been not welcome. Not that they weren't welcomed, but they just we couldn't figure out a way to where to put them. And now we are just welcoming them, and we're figuring it out as we go along and offering it up to the Holy Spirit. Because, I always say we have 16,000 hours from the time kindergarten to 12th grade, 16,000 hours to get these souls to heaven. And, it's not an easy job, but due to works like that, the legacy of your family, it definitely, when we all work together, we get closer to the ultimate goal. Yeah, it's awesome. So do we leave anything on the table? Because I want to talk about, your free time and what you do.
Oh, I don't know, wherever you want to go.
Is there anything else that we left on the table? Is there anything else that you want to make a plea about, or any story left untold? Not that I'm not rushing you off or anything.
No.
I don't know if there's anything else that you want to talk about.
Let's see. Maybe I talk about Laudato Si for a minute.
Yeah.
So for those that most people know what that is, that's a encyclical by Pope Francis about the environment, right? So, when I went to a conference in the spring on just Laudato Si. It was a Catholic Foundation conference.
Okay.
On this topic of Laudato Si, and I have a lot of concern for our environment, and really when you talk about the future of the next generation, it's critically important, and it's also ties where care for creation is totally entwined with our Catholic faith, right? Being stewards of God's creation. So, this is a natural segue, I think. Also, we talk about reconnecting with the younger generation, who, statistically care a lot more about the environment than older folks.
Yes,
quite naturally, right? But they do care, and there is incredible work that's being done, through this lens of Laudato Si, which is and I came back from that conference and I said, what's going on here in Philadelphia? And I came across a group called Eco Philly.
Okay.
And they, all volunteer organization, and they happened to have a workshop, and they were bringing together various schools and parishes that were doing something around creation care. And I found out at the end of the conference that they were doing all of this on a budget of about $2,000. I was like,
sounds familiar.
But I was like, wow, because what I learned is that some of these dioceses have had a lot of luck getting younger adults, connect. We got to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And so if the path back to your faith is through your care for the environment, that's wonderful. And so we need, as a church, to kind of open up all those different paths.
Yep.
And a path that I know works, or seems to, is there is a common theme for creation care among younger adults, and many of us as well. But I thought there was a real opportunity for us to do some funding in this space, but I didn't know exactly how to go about it. So I actually approached Eco Philly, said, dream a little bit. And they came back to us with a grant to do some more workshops. They actually have an ACE fellow at St. Joe's that's actually going to work with all the people in the Archdiocese at the schools that are whether it's club programs or the teachers. And now environmental science is actually part of all freshman year curriculum across the state, apparently. So
Okay.
that's
right.
It's
Yes.
another opportunity. So they're going to be like, I think you're going to see a lot more coming from that.
Okay.
I look forward to getting people connected to that Laudato Si, and also seeing how far we can take it. Because
I love that.
like when I think about like missionary hubs, let's bring out all of our best tools.
Yep.
And of engagement, and this is one place where I think we all can kind of hopefully come together on.
So cool. I love the phrase, which I guess I've never heard before, and maybe it's my own ignorance, creation care. Like that is just so cool to me. Like it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. We're taking care. Because sometimes I think you hear the environment, people are like environmentalists, or kind of like, oh gosh, but creation care hones to what it is.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what it is. So we can link Eco Philly to in our show notes. So that'll be cool. I love this. And one of the things that I've always admired about you, Andrew, is like you have a vision, but you also have the ability to kind of like pick up the phone and say, this is to other people. And you're like, this is what I think we could do. Give me something for that. Like, give me a pathway to get there. And I just think that's like a gift.
I don't have all the answers. I go to people that know a lot more than I do, that I respect, and say like, because in the end, like we need people that can operate, like they can like build a program and execute it.
Right.
We don't have a lot of infrastructure to be building programs, and right. So like my best connections are strategic thinkers that have vision.
Yeah.
And so like, and I love that your office is not just Bonnie and like others that have been very like strategic, and it's been great. So.
Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, it's I've only been in this job for like a little over 2 years now, working in the Archdiocese downtown at the Twos. And I think that this type of thing was so unexpected. I never thought that something like this would all happen. None of this. And it's just like the Holy Spirit. I used to say the Holy Spirit works in mysterious ways. And now I'm like, the Holy Spirit literally like hits me over the head every single minute of my day.
I never knew that this was my path in life, but like, I'm embracing, like, I do feel like it is my path.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the same way. Like we are exactly where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely works through us and puts us where he wants our feet planted.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. All right. So when you're not reading grant proposals, when you're not fielding phone calls, when you're not aligning visionaries to each other, tell me some of the things that you like to do.
Sleep. No. I'm a dad. I have 2 children, 3 stepchildren, so I any kind of family time. My wife Jennifer and I love spending time with her.
Yeah.
She's a great strategic partner to me.
I'm sure.
But also like a regular dude. Like I play golf. And
you're a golfer?
Yeah, I'm a
okay.
golfer.
All right.
Sometimes a good one, but
usually not.
But
do you ever have a hole in one?
No.
No,
my
hole in one.
daughter reminds me of that all the time.
Do you golf with the kids? Like, is that something? Have they started to golf?
Both my son and daughter have wanted to play a little bit more.
Yeah. How old are they now?
18 and 19.
Okay. Yeah. It's a great sport. I definitely think it's a really good sport. I play with my sons. I play more than once a year, but I definitely always go on Mother's Day. We go golfing. That's how we spend our Mother's Day.
With family time. Yeah. I mean, I wish there's more. I love to travel, but there'll be more time for that down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the coolest place you've traveled to?
Oh gosh. I have been to some really cool places.
Yeah.
Ooh, the one that like hit me right away.
Yeah.
Was, I was in college. I was a semester abroad. 1991. I was in Russia. So it was a 1 week trip, like with my college, friends, and we went to Russia, and they somehow let me I was a photographer. I still am a photographer, but somehow they let me go do my own thing for a day.
Okay.
And I got to explore Russia on my own with a camera. And I was all over the place. And I couldn't even I was just trying to decipher the alphabet, like get on the subway and try to get
right.
That was a real adventure.
Before a phone.
There's no phone.
Yeah,
no.
right.
And
exactly.
I just knew I had to get to a bus.
Yeah.
Thinking back, there's too many stories. That was a very cool place to go to.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. What about, where do you take your kids? Like for a vacation? What's the, where do they like to go?
They both like different things. My daughter loves the beach.
Okay.
My son, not as much, but I've had luck with cruises because you can always do the short little cruise. That's always fun. The kids. Because there's always, different excursions.
Yeah, it's something for everyone. Cruises are very universally designed.
Yes.
Yeah, they come from very universally designed. They do.
Imagine,
they always have there's not one size fits all on a cruise ship. They're designed to
have I have a lot more travel to do with my kids.
Yeah.
And my wife. Cool.
Yeah. I like that too. And they're so much easier when people are older, but now they have their own designs on where they want to go.
Yeah.
I have a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. So we're in the same ballpark. All right. So are you ready for the holy hot seat?
Okay.
Yeah. Every guest goes in the holy hot seat.
Gosh.
No, you don't have a copy of these. No. You can't look up the answer. This is all, okay. They're easy. They're easy. Okay. All right. So first thing that comes to mind. Okay. So favorite saint to pray to?
Saint Anthony.
Do you lose things a lot?
I do. It seems like a frequent go-to.
There you go. I know. Poor Saint Anthony. Did he ever think that in his life he'd be the one that was there's so many memes on Facebook about that. Okay. Favorite Catholic church song?
Ooh. Eagles Wings might be one. Be Not Afraid.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's another one. Yeah, Be Not Afraid. I think that always touches me.
Yeah, I know. Friends of mine, whenever I go into a church or something, or even for mass, the very first thing I do is look and see what the music is, and I give those oldies but goodies very high marks. Okay, so what in your opinion, what's the greatest thing about Notre Dame's campus?
Grotto is pretty unique.
Yeah.
But then, game day in the stadium with Touchdown Jesus, that's also pretty special.
Yes. So, I'll have to show you my pictures. I have a couple of pictures right in front of Touchdown Jesus.
It's gorgeous campus.
Yeah.
I got to,
I mean, that's a great 4 years spent, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think of the name of that. There was a place off campus. Oh my gosh.
The linebacker?
The linebacker. Exactly. I knew it.
Well, I knew you and I knew it. It had to be the linebacker.
Yes. I actually didn't go there, but I drove by there. A guy that I'm good friends with, he went to Notre Dame and he's like, you got to go to the linebacker. You're going to love it. He said, of course, for me too. Yeah. Okay. But I didn't make it there, but hopefully I'm going back next summer. So we'll see. Okay. Favorite movie besides Cabrini? You can't say Cabrini. You got to go for
I was in Rudy.
You were in Rudy?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was an extra in Rudy.
What scene are you in?
The quintessential scene. This is kind of funny. So the quintessential scene where they're carrying Rudy off the field.
Yeah.
So I was playing an extra. Believe it or not, I was playing a photographer, a sports photographer.
Okay.
So I was playing double duty because I actually was working at Notre Dame as a photographer during the game that this scene was filmed. So I actually had my camera with real film, but I knew it was the first time I ever shot a football game where I actually knew what the play was going to be. So it was completely unfair. I had the script.
Right.
So I knew exactly when he was going to, tackle the quarterback. And then I knew to run and put myself in between Rudy and the end zone that they were carrying him off to. So,
okay.
So there's this it's less than a second. You'll see me out in front of Rudy.
Oh, I am watching this
as the photographer as they're carrying. And actually, I have pictures of him like real pictures of him, probably about as far away from me and you
Really?
as he's being carried off the field.
Oh my gosh, that is cool.
But that probably, I don't know if that's my favorite movie. I love that,
Yeah.
but it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that one. When I was on campus last year at Notre Dame for my 12 days, which felt like 6 months, but one of the nights we were up working late, like on a project, and we put Rudy on and we were watching. And it was actually cool because it was cool to watch the movie knowing that I've actually been to the places that are in the movie. So now, it's cool. I mean, I am a Penn Stater. We are still. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And
I'm a Penn Stater.
my daughter's going there.
She is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I
so
love
now
that.
I'm going to have to do the same thing.
It's a tough nut to swallow. It's not easy. It is not easy. It's not easy. But, it's funny because when I went to Penn State, it was the last 2 years when Notre Dame actually played Penn State, every year. And we beat Notre Dame both my junior and senior year. Just thought I'd put that in there. Shameless plug. But it's not as much of a rivalry now, I feel like, as it used to be. I don't think kids get it as much as they used to.
But last year was a great game. And frankly, both teams are I think they're both top 5 ranked going into this. So it's going to become a rivalry.
I think it's coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be good. We'll have to have a little wager on that. Okay, so what is the quirky habit that your kids, your wife, or your coworkers tease you about? Do you have one?
Well, my coworkers kind of always know to come to me for where's my stash of candy?
Oh, okay. Oh, I did see a whole thing of candy out there of chocolate when I walked in.
I don't know. My kids, you have to ask
them. All right, we'll ask them. Okay. What's your favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not a Catholic holiday, but it's
it
doesn't
family. Have to be. Yeah. It's family football.
Yeah.
Faith, family, football. Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite children's book?
The Giving Tree.
Oh my gosh, mine too. I love that one.
Know, it's
it's so great.
So great.
Yeah, it is.
And I remember being read it, and I remember reading it to my kids. So.
Oh yeah, 5th grade, Sister Geraldine at St. Coleman John Newman read The Giving Tree, and maybe it was 2nd grade because I had her to 2nd grade and 5th grade. So I don't know if I got it read to me in 2nd or 5th grade, but I have not forgotten it since then. Okay, if you could have dinner with a famous person, who would it be?
Is there? I don't know. I feel like I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean,
okay,
he's famous. I don't know. I don't know if you get any better.
Yeah,
than that.
Could you do that? Yeah.
That
would be so cool.
I mean, but that's a big ask.
That is a big ask.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know. I'd be curious to sit down with any of the apostles, think about St. Peter, what is being in the upper chamber and what that was like,
unbelievable
between day 40 and 50.
Yeah.
What was going through, because that was some dark times for them. They didn't really, but no, I would really, that
so
fascinates
cool.
me.
Do you watch The Chosen?
I've only caught a couple. Yeah, I gotta start.
You really should watch The Chosen, because I think that one of the things I love about The Chosen is that it gives such a very good descriptive visual image of what you could actually really think went on. Yeah. And the last season that's out, I don't know what number it is. I think it's 5 or 6 that's actually out, is it's the name of that season is called The Upper Room. And it's all about the Last Supper and his entrance back into, it's really good. It's good.
All right.
Yeah. Bonnie is going to totally be ridiculous. I talk about The Chosen all the time, and my office is please stop talking about The Chosen, but I cannot stop with the shameless plugs of The Chosen. Okay. Favorite snack food?
Oh, anything sugar related.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, okay. What was your favorite Catholic school tradition?
I don't know the favorite one. I don't know the one I love. I still love the uniforms. I don't know if I was a favorite when I was there. I think we always got excited for the May procession.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a big deal. Mm-hmm. Whoever got to carry the
Crown Mary. Yeah,
that was
huge deal.
Big deal.
Yeah. So you went to Waldron, which is all boys at the time when you went there.
But we still
so did you have a May procession and you just had a boy crown Mary?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like. Did you ever get to crown Mary? No, you weren't picked for that. No, I was never picked for that either. Okay, if you weren't doing now what you're doing, what would your career be? Like, what would you be doing?
I don't know. I might go back to. I think I'm in the right place.
I think you are in the right place.
I do have a creative side, and I do get to express that.
You are.
I love photography, and but I really do enjoy what I'm doing now, and I feel like, my Italian grandfather said, you do what you enjoy, have a work a day in your life.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. I love that. Okay, last holy hot seat question. Favorite cheesesteak? Where do you get your favorite cheesesteaks?
I haven't had one in a while, but I always like the Jim steaks. But
that's mine too.
Yeah, okay.
I like Jim's because they cut up the meat.
Yeah.
I like the meat cut up. Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Well, and then I'm going to ask you the last signature question, and then I'm going to give you a big round of applause and a thanks. But the last signature question that I ask to every guest on the podcast is, because this is really about Catholic education, the graces of Catholic education. If you could whisper one piece of advice to every Catholic educator before they step into their classroom every day that would help them shape future saints, what would that advice be?
I would say, don't be afraid to share your faith journey. I think more in a big picture way, just remember you're always a role model, and you're they're in school to be those role models, right? To be those living examples. And so a teacher that could open up about their faith and their faith journey, even if it's, just wherever they are, right? Because that becomes real to a student.
Exactly.
But if students aren't used to having those conversations, if they're not having those conversations with their parents and they're not having those conversations with their teachers, then where are we going, right? So maybe that would be what I would whisper. At least that's what I thought of at that moment.
I love it. I love that. These are I ask this question, like I said, to everyone, and I know that at some point I am going to be compiling them together, because every single person that I've interviewed no one's said the same thing yet.
Okay.
And every one of them is just so important and so meaningful to the bigger picture of what we're all trying to do here. And it's just, it's awesome to be able to hear them from everyone.
But think about the teachers that you've had, and the ones that had the most impact on you were the ones that allowed you into their world, right? That they shared, right? Some part of them, right? So, I know it's not easy for all the teachers to do that, but you got to be a little vulnerable. Right?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to play this little clip when in our new teacher formation for Beacon Academy.
I'm not a professional teacher. So
that's okay.
I discredit anything, but that was my gut.
I love it. I love it. Well, we've come to the end of the podcast, and I can't thank you enough for this. This was just an enjoyable conversation. I hope that you weren't too stressed out about it, but you did great.
Oh, and my first time.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't speak for everyone in Catholic education, but I definitely can say, because I can see the impact that your daily work is leaving.
I can't take it's about the organization. Right?
Correct. Yes. But the Ambassadors Fund run by you, that whole foundation, everything, the legacy that your great grandfather, the foundation is just doing so right by him in everything that you do. And it's paying dividends literally in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. I say it all the time. And we are so grateful for what your family has been able to provide.
I mean, the awkward thing about being here is that you would never have got my dad. But on the other hand, I also saw this merit saying okay, I got to put myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. But it's for if one other teacher or administrator hears about this, and it's all for the good. So I'm kind of, Like, so I don't need that. But like, it is helpful to get the word out that there's funding out there. So, hopefully this will facilitate a few extra calls, and that.
Oh, I believe that it definitely will. It definitely will. Well, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me. And the way I wrap everything up is I just say to all our faithful listeners, may God's grace fill you with the courage to stay faithful, to stay fearless, and above all and always stay Philly. So God bless you. God bless our listeners. And we'll see you on the next podcast. What an absolute joy it's been talking with Andrew McCloskey today. I'm so grateful he took time out of his busy schedule to join me and share the remarkable story of his family's legacy and the ongoing mission of the Ambassadors Fund for Catholic Education. I truly enjoyed learning how generation after generation of the McCloskey family has carried forward a vision rooted in faith, generosity, and innovation. Legacy runs deep in Philadelphia's Catholic education story, and Andrew embodies that tradition so beautifully. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to follow, rate, and share the Graces of Catholic Education wherever you listen. It really helps us spread these stories of faith, leadership, and inclusion to more Catholic educators and families. Until next time, may God's grace fill you with the courage to stay faithful, stay fearless, and as always, stay Philly. God bless, and see you on the next podcast.